friends, and welcome back to That Outdoorsy Podcast. I'm your host, Cassie, aka That Outdoorsy Gal, and today is a really special episode. Not just because it's the last episode of season 1, but because I get to introduce the person who started this whole outdoorsy obsession of mine in the first place. So for the season 1 finale, I wanted to go back to the beginning. I want to hear some of my dad's favorite memories from the adventures he had growing up and the ones we shared as a family. So tuning in from Southern Missouri, here's my dad, Stan, aka Papa Stan, aka Stanta. Dad, welcome to That Outdoorsy Podcast.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. I just thought it'd be fun to have you here because I don't know if I would be outdoorsy if you hadn't taken us on all those camping trips growing up. Plus, just hearing all your stories with your brothers, I think I was like, oh, I want to do that.
Well, I've had some nice times with my family growing up, and with you guys after you've grown up.
That's true.
It's just been a long life of enjoying the outdoors as much as we can. Either playing outside or working outside.
That's true. You work a lot outside.
Seemed like since I've retired, I work more outside than I have.
It does seem that way.
Yeah.
You do keep getting more animals, though, so you are doing it to yourself.
Yeah. Well, we always tried to have animals when you guys were growing up, and now we got animals for the grandkids.
We never had goats, though, when I was growing up, and I am a little upset about that.
Well, come on down.
Coming down. Well, let's talk about when we were growing up. You took us camping. We took some road trips. Is there one that stands out to you that was one of your favorites?
Well, you remember when we had the RV?
Mm-hmm.
And, we took some, we didn't take no cross-country trips on it, but one time we took that tent camper to Florida. You remember that? And
yes.
We stayed at my Uncle Larry. He was living in a mobile home on this church property. And then we went to Universal Studios.
Yes.
Jerry, my youngest brother, his wife worked for Universal Studios, and Jackie, I think was her name. She worked for Universal Studios out in California, and she got us VIP tickets. You remember that?
I don't remember it being VIP.
We went through, we didn't have to stand in line because we had the VIP. We just walked right by. There might have been a line of 100 people trying to get into something, and we just walked right on through.
I do not remember that. You know what I do remember about that trip?
What's that?
I don't know if we were in Alabama or somewhere. We were on our way, and I think Dorsey was in an RV in a Walmart parking lot, and we walked over from our hotel. And what happened?
Well, somebody got into a nest of fire ants.
Well, somebody grew up down there and didn't tell me that fire ants existed.
We were in Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And
but Dorsey, you got it in it too, right? It was the two of us.
Yeah, I picked you up, and you had the ants. They were biting you on your legs.
They got me good. I just remembered we were in Florida, and I had to wear pants the whole time because they destroyed me.
We couldn't figure out what you were screaming about.
I just remember standing there, and I was like, something's happening.
Yeah, that was I can't remember how old y'all were.
I was probably like 12 or 13.
Probably.
I also remember, did we go... Because you grew up in Florida.
Right. I was born and raised in Apopka, Florida.
Yes. And did we go swimming? And I felt like you were telling me about alligators. I can't really remember.
Well, we stopped at, I don't know if it's Jupiter. And
that sounds familiar.
The Swanee River, and had the manatees.
That's right. Yes.
And we used to call them sea cows growing up. But I guess manatees was a specific name for them. But I can't remember if we ever got to see them.
I don't think we saw them. I think you were just telling me about it.
But the water was really clear. We went to the beach a couple of times.
We did. So did you grew up in like the interior of Florida though, right?
Yeah, people don't know where Apopka is. It's just north of Orlando. Back then though, I mean, the last time I was really down there is we were living in Kansas City at the time. And after I got out of high school, I was working with my brother Donnie at this place called R&G Sloan in Lenexa, Kansas. Well, they had a warehouse in Kissimmee, Florida, which is south of Orlando. So I was 19, I think. And so I drove my 60 Chevrolet station wagon, had my 10-speed bicycle on my bicycle rack on the back of the station wagon, and went to Florida by myself. Went to work down there. But back then, Popka was, several miles from Orlando, just like Kissimmee was several miles from Orlando to the south. But now it's all grown up. They're just part of the metropolitan area of Orlando.
It's
But
all the
back
same
then,
thing.
it was a drive between, the cities. This is early 70s, 72, 73 or something like that. And I remember my uncle, Larry, back then, he was working for Disney World.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
there was no Disney World then, but they had all the land, and they were just starting to do the landscaping around there. And his job, he went around with one of these big trucks, like they had these big old grapplers on the back of these, and they would go around and plant palm trees.
Oh,
They'd have somebody that would dig the big hole, and he could go around picking up these giant palm trees, and they would replant them in the ground.
that's
And they had
cool.
a building that he took me into, and it was like it had a model of what Disney World was going to be like. It was, it showed the park itself on this giant on this big table. And just from what I can remember, the table might have been, 20-foot wide by 30 or 40 foot long, and it's just a miniature design of what Disney World was like. But that was the only part of Disney World I'd ever been to. Even I've not been back. We've been to
Orlando
well,
or Universal, I guess.
we went to Universal Studios, but we never did go to Disney World.
Well, now you got to go back and see if it matched.
Too many people.
That's true. I get that from you. I think in every single episode, I've talked about being an introvert. And so now it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. That was one thing about the Universal Studios. I remember, even then I thought, oh, well, I don't know if I want to do that or not. And Jerry and Jackie talked us into it because she said, well, I can get you VIP passes and you guys won't have to stand in the line in the crowds. That was really nice.
You're like, I've never been VIP before.
I probably asked, well, what is VIP?
What does that stand for? I don't even know if I know what it stands for.
I don't know either.
Oh, man. Okay. I'll have to Google it after this.
Yep. I have to ask Siri what.
Hey, Siri. Oh, my gosh. A fun fact about Hey Siri, just for everyone listening, is that my dad was out here visiting like a month ago. And every 10 miles we drove, hey, Siri, what's our elevation?
Yeah.
Oh, I can still hear it.
I started doing that around here since we got back. I think where we're at is like 1,200 and something feet. Where Jennifer, your sister, lives, it's like 50 feet higher or something like that.
Well, yeah, you guys are kind of in the holler.
Yeah, in the holler.
In the holler. Yeah. Now, what exactly is a holler?
A holler, I guess it's just a valley, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Holler.
It's just what us hillbillies call a valley, I guess.
Another thing to ask Siri, what the
we'll have a list
definition.
After this.
You're gonna have to make a list of all the questions to ask Siri.
Goodness. Okay, let's see. We also went on another trip that I remember. Was it Johnson Shedden's, or
That's right.
Is that where we were? That we were camping, but we had to turn off the generator. Is that where it was?
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember it was so hot, and we were just in this little camper, and I remember It was that
RV that we had.
Was it the RV? I thought it was the pop out. It was the RV.
It was the RV.
Okay. But yeah, I just remember I had put lotion on that night, and the lotion was sticking to everything. I think that's what I remember most about that trip.
Well, I know me and my brothers, we used to always kid ourselves or kid each other about every time we get mad or, our blood starts to boil over something, we always say, well, Hubert is coming out, your grandpa. And we tell, Hubert's getting ready to come out. And he did that night because I remember it was so noisy. You remember they closed the park. They had a gate because the park was full. And we were right there on Elk River. I think is it Elk River?
It's the Black River.
Black River, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's the Black
Elk
River.
River's down there
I
south
don't
of
know how I
California.
remembered that.
Yep, you're right. It was so noisy because everybody was partying, next door to us in a campfire. And then somebody knocks on the door. So we're in a generator-free area of the campground, and you'll have to turn your generators off. And I said, "Hey, you can't even hear the generators because of everybody's partying." And that made me so mad. I said, "Well, you just have to open the gate. We're leaving. There's no way we can stay in this camper without the generator going." So I told them, if you don't raise the gate, I'm crashing through.
I guess I missed all that.
So somebody, they went up there and opened the gate. I lost the money, whatever they, paid or we had to pay. I don't remember what it was back then. But I think we made it to a parking lot of a store, I think. And, of course, there's a couple of trucks sitting in their parking lot. So we just parked in there and did the same thing.
That's so funny. I do not remember you getting mad, but that's like what Emmy, when he gets mad, I just say he's going Romanian, but maybe I'll have to say it's Hubert coming out. I feel like he's on his way to be Hubert anyway.
We're keeping him alive with our thoughts.
We are. So here's a weird question. Obviously, when I'm out adventuring, I'm Googling places to go. How did you find Johnson Shut-ins? How did you know that was a place you wanted to go?
I don't remember. We didn't have Google back then.
Yeah, no. Probably had to have heard it somewhere, I guess.
That and Rand McNally road map, yeah.
Which I still have in my car.
Yeah, everybody needs to have one.
Yeah.
But, on there, they has places to visit, in the states. And it has an outline of state parks and state forests and national parks and stuff. But I'm pretty sure we had heard about it. I don't know if we heard so much about Johnson's Shut-ins as much as we heard about Elephant Rocks,
which are right next to each other.
To my memory, I enjoyed the Elephant Rocks more than I did
I like Johnson Shut-ins.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been back since, you remember,
when the dam broke.
broke and washed all that away. But I've heard that it's, back to kind of normal again.
It did go back like 10 years ago. And yeah, it kind of looked the same as it did when we first went. So for everyone listening, Johnson Shut-ins is like, is it volcanic rock? I want to say it's some kind of rock, and the river, the Black River, has like smoothed it out. So it's almost like natural water slides. And so you can start at the top of this section of the river and just kind of slide your way down. It's really cool. But I don't know, going as an adult, I'm sure it probably hurts a lot more.
I'm thinking it's granite.
Oh, is it granite?
I think so, because Elephant Rocks is like granite.
It granite? That could be.
And I remember you guys going from one big rock to another,
I actually went back in my 20s, I think, with a bunch of my friends from Jefferson City, and it was still really, really fun. And they even had cliff jumping, which they probably had when we were little. We just didn't remember it.
I remember. Yeah, I can remember the people jumping off of the top up there.
So I did do a little cliff jumping when I was older, but cool place.
Yeah. I remember the water being cool. It was almost cold.
It seemed colder when I was older. Something about being a kid where I guess you just don't feel pain or temperature. Unless you're in a hot RV. Yeah. I felt that temperature.
RVs are nice, but
they're hot.
They do get hot inside. Just kind of like a truck, big truck. They just get hot, and you got to have air conditioning. And thank goodness for air conditioner. I can remember taking many trips with my folks. There wasn't no such thing as air conditioning, but we didn't think anything about it. We just toughed it out.
Then once you had it, you couldn't go back.
Kind of like phones. If we have a solar blackout or something and all the internet goes down, what are we going to do? We still have landline. I think we're the only ones in Missouri that have
in the
landline.
in the United States.
But it does come in handy once in a while when we
I'm
lose power.
sure it does. I mean, I remember I couldn't even get you to get text messaging for a long time. I was like, just get text messaging. We'll be able to talk so much more. You're like,
Um,
no. And then I remember
yeah,
the first message. And now look at us. We text all the time. And now
and
you're on Instagram.
I put a couple of stories on there.
Emmy doesn't even know how to post a story. And I told him last night, I was like, Dad has posted 2 stories and you have posted no stories.
Well, I still don't know how to do it. I did it by accident, and I still don't. I'm pushing buttons and everything else, and
Well, it's working.
I don't know, no telling what else I'm doing to it.
I'll let you know if I see anything crazy.
Okay.
Okay, so going back to growing up in Florida, did you live in Mississippi too, or did you just live in Florida?
Well, when my folks went to Florida after the war, my dad's folks left Mississippi around Tupelo and moved to Florida. This is like in the 40s. And then my mom's family, they moved from Oneida, Tennessee. I mean, they didn't know one another. It was just a family. It seemed like everybody was flocking to Florida back then because there wasn't no jobs. And so, people was going down there to work in the orange groves. Both my folks worked in the orange groves.
I didn't know that.
And then my dad got into driving a truck down there. That's where he started driving a truck hauling oranges. And then he went from that to the bigger trucks, and he got a job with this guy, Lake Transport. And we moved to, well, actually, I'm not sure if I was born then yet. I think my Donnie and Dorsey were babies, and they went to Welding, North Carolina. And they weren't up there very long. And then they went back to Florida, and then I was born down there. And then we wound up moving to Kansas City, Kansas, for the same company, that Lake Transport or Transportation. And then that's when, your grandpa started his own company. And so we lived up there off and on. I think in the 5th and 6th grade, we moved back to Florida, and he was mainly hauling beef from Kansas City to Florida and then hauling produce back. And so we lived in Florida around Fruitland Park, which is just outside of Leesburg. And we lived there, and like I said, for a couple of school years, and then moved back to Kansas City, and then I was there until I graduated. And then by that time, folks had they'd moved to Volitz, Kansas, north up there by Marysville, Kansas, along the Nebraska line. They were up there for a couple of years, and then they moved to Dallas County.
I didn't know they lived up north.
Yeah, it was Volitz, Kansas, and Jerry was going to school up there.
Oh.
But I was still in high school, and me and Donnie had a trailer there in Edwardsville, Kansas, just outside of Kansas City. And Donnie was my guardian for a couple of years through school, so I could finish high school.
I didn't know that either. I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. How much older is Donnie than you?
Close to 5 years.
Okay.
And then Dorsey's in the middle. I think he's a little over 3 years older than me. And Sheila was a year younger than me. Jerry was right at 10 years younger than me.
Oh, wow. He was the baby.
Yep.
Did you have any outdoorsy adventures growing up in Florida or Kansas?
Well, growing up, I can remember we went to the beach a lot. Well, maybe not a lot. Maybe.
You were in Florida, so.
Yeah. Of course, we were in the interior part. It was like maybe 90 miles to, that Uncle Larry that I was talking, about, he was working at Disney World. Before that, for a lot of years, he worked at Cape Canaveral, which is Cape Kennedy now. And it was a 90-mile drive from his place, and he drove it every day. And he wore out a lot of cars. But like you got Daytona Beach, and of course that was a pretty busy place even back then. And then there's New Smyrna Beach, which is just south of Daytona, and that's where we usually went. And it was pretty quiet. I think it's probably all a metropolis by now. But I can remember going fishing over there at Cape Canaveral, and where all the like the ships and everything, we'd fish right there because the ships would dump all their garbage out of and the fish would be right there eating up all the garbage from the ships.
Bet they don't do that anymore.
Well, I don't know. I can remember going out in the water, and I mean, of course, I wasn't very tall back then, but the baby sharks would be coming up,
Oh,
almost, I mean, we might be in 2 feet of water, and baby sharks should be swimming around.
thanks.
Which we didn't think anything about that back then. My uncles and aunts and folks, they never thought nothing of it, so we didn't. But I couldn't do that now. There would be no way I'd get out there if I saw something like that. It'd
Nope.
scare me to death. I've gotten older. I don't know, wiser or just more scared.
I think
About things.
think I'm the same way. Like even with hiking, I think I know too much now. Like when I was more naive with hiking, but then I think back, I'm like, I can't believe I'm still alive.
It
I'm not
scares
saying
me
that
when
to my dad.
or it scares me when I know that you're going backpacking. I worry about that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
scares Emmy too. At least you and Emmy have each other.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even. I don't think I'd even go up on the hill here in the woods and camp out.
Probably got some ghosts from that cemetery across the street hanging
Yeah.
out up there anyway.
Well, there's supposed to have been a Indian settlement here
Oh,
somewhere right in this area. We're on the wire road that runs right there in front of Jennifer, part of the Trail of Tears.
I
And
didn't know that. It's
yeah,
also part like where they first put in the telegraph. Is that why it's called
right.
Wire Road? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but it is also part of the Trail of Tears. And I don't know if on our place and in the ravine, I don't know if you ever noticed one of the trees. It grows crooked. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it goes and it bends, and then you see a couple of more like that, like going down there by the park down there at the railroad trestle. And I was reading, it's been a few years ago, where Indians would they would do something with the trees as markers for water if there was water for them. Well, evidently, there must have been water here somewhere. I mean, the Crane Creek is down there, and
And
you can,
anytime it rains,
yeah, every
you get
time it
your own
rains.
creek.
I don't know, with climate change, with the population, everybody's got wells, and it's just sucking all the creeks dry, around here.
Is Crane Creek pretty dry now?
Yeah, it's pretty dry.
I mean, I
I mean,
remember we used to play in it growing up. I think that was like our main thing we did.
it's in the park. There's still water, and in the wildlife area, like if you go into the railroad
Back in that
trestle,
trail.
if you go up on there, there's water. So I guess the springs kind of come and go. It's probably underground, like right
Mm.
there at the park. But one little memory that I can remember was when we was living up there where Jennifer lives at. It was in the winter, I don't know if it's February or March, and of course Wire Road, when we walked across, we'd walk down to the creek a lot. You remember doing that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, it's all gravel road,
Yeah. It was
back
not
then.
paved.
And I remember we got up right up there almost to the cemetery entrance, and one of you said something about there's something in the road up there, and it was a snake. You remember that? It was I'm trying to think now the name of that's called. That's
Copperhead?
no, it wasn't a
Oh.
copperhead. It was like a flathead. You remember? It was like a cobra. Spread netter, I think is what they called it.
Oh, yeah.
I went up there and I kicked some rocks on it because I didn't know if it was dead or what. And it raised its head up and spread its. You remember that? And it spread its
I
neck
do
apart.
not remember this.
It was just like a cobra. And I turned around because I thought, wow, that's cool. I turned around. You guys were gone. You guys were already headed back to the house.
You've always been pretty brave with snakes. You pick up snakes quite often, more than I would probably.
Well, yeah, I tell you, when we had the chickens, I mean, and it just seemed like chickens are a draw for every kind of critter,
Oh, I guess
and there
because
was
the
just,
snakes eat the eggs.
yeah, that, and I mean, we even had, raccoons and possums. The only thing we
That's
got now is armadillos. But yeah, I remember going out there when we had the chickens and I opened up the thing to get the eggs out, and I thought it was one black snake, but there was two in there.
Mm.
I grabbed a hold of, I found both heads. One came out fairly easy, and the other one was wrapped around, and I probably stretched it a little bit. I mean,
Oh,
I didn't kill them. I just took them out and took them further down the property and let them loose.
they probably came back a couple days later.
Probably.
Well, I just remember working at the Missouri Department of Conservation.
Oh, yes.
And I was just a nobody there. And I get this box. They call me up to the front desk, like the visitor center desk. And they're like, you got this package. I'm like, I got a package.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a an empty checkbook box, like what you used to get your checkbooks in. And I open it. It's this huge snake skin with like a note that's like, what is this?
I didn't know what kind of snake it was. And I thought,
my
well,
gosh. And then I remember taking it to like our snake guy and he was laughing. I was like, oh, my dad sent me this. Oh my gosh. I don't know that we ever found out what it was because I think he was saying it was hard to tell by the skin.
Well, it's over there by one of the water hydrants there by the house. And I guess it's probably drinking water or something and decided, well, that's a place to get rid of its shed skin. But
it's pretty big.
It was so perfect. Most skins you see are, just pieces here and pieces there.
So you thought, let me send this to my daughter.
Yeah.
I think my other favorite conservation when I worked there moment was when you were asking me what the heebie-jeebie bird was.
Yeah. I still hear it once in a while.
What is it to do?
Let me think. Heebie jeebie jeebie or hippie hippie. Yes, I can't remember. It's heebie jeebie heebie jeebie heebie jeebie. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you call me and you're like, can I speak to your bird person or something? You're like, I need to know what this is. It's a heebie-jeebie bird. It goes heebie-jeebie-jeebie.
I had never heard anybody say what kind of bird that is.
I don't know. Well, I'm slowly getting into birds now, so maybe I'll figure it out one day. I don't think we have heebie-jeebie birds here, though.
Well, crows, I think, are just about running a lot of the birds off. I mean, they're into bird feeders or, just...
They haven't been in mine yet.
They haven't been in yours yet.
No. We just have the doves and the finches. Okay, well, I also remember when I was growing up, you and Uncle Donnie used to do quite a few adventures, or at least you talked about the adventures that you'd had before. And it seemed like you guys mostly floated the rivers.
Yeah. I mean, we've, even with Dorsey in between us, me and Donnie pretty much were best friends, growing up. We worked together at I remember that company that I worked for at R&G Sloan that I moved to Florida. And then we worked at a place called Mulebach, or no, it was Cassie Cartage. It was a delivery company in Kansas City. And we worked there together for a while. And then I got a job at a Glenstone Block Company there in Springfield. And then I had him, they were looking for at one time, and there was like 4 of us working there at Glenstone Block. And so Donnie come down a year after I did. And we kind of got into the floating with a bunch of the people around at Glenstone Block. Oh. That's how we got started.
I didn't know that.
And they closed the dam when they built Truman Dam, and it was flooding the creeks and the rivers, Palm de Terre River and whatever. And around it. I remember a bunch of us floated that, and we floated like a lot of I mentioned the Elk River a while ago. Instead of the Elk River, we floated it. It's down there by Knoll, south of Joplin. Get in there at Indian Creek and then float into, but it's mostly there at the end is me and Donnie and Pat. I don't know if you ever remember Pat Harper, is a friend of Donnie's. And then there was a friend of hers. She was a police officer in Springfield. And so the 4 of us, and once in a while there's somebody else we'd go floating. We'd had some overnight floats that were pretty fun.
So you guys would like float and then camp as you go?
Yeah, we'd find a place that a lot of them would have like a campground or something on the river somewhere. But we had some of the places we'd have to drive like 2 vehicles. Because we would
shuttle
ourselves around. I mean, we probably put in more miles on the road than we did on the river.
We even do that with hiking.
But, then we kind of got into that, and the 4 of us went from that scuba diving. And we got into that, the same four of
I do
us.
remember. I remember you doing scuba diving.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I kind of wished I'd have kept it up, but I think we just kind of got into it at the wrong age.
Oh,
But
your
it was
kids
fun.
are probably so demanding too.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, we didn't do no elaborate dives anywhere. Mostly around the Table Rock Lake or Bull Shoals Lake.
So you
I think
just, was it like creepy under there? I mean, it's not a clear lake by any means.
Well, I mean, it's clear to you I remember one time, and this guy that was giving us the instructions, he went with us on a lot of the dives because he wanted somebody to dive with too.
Oh.
And then he was kind of helping us, learn to do it. I remember one time we was at Bull Shoals Lake, and we had rented this. They have these pontoon boats that are fixed for scuba diving. Like part of the deck would be cut out, where you could, get in the water from the deck. And he went down and took this rope and tied it off. It was like over 100 feet down at the lake, and he tied it off on I don't know, it's a snap-on tools. You probably see them trucks around. They go to, it's a tool maker. But they had an old Chevrolet truck. It's probably in the 50s. It was an old snap-on tool truck down there at the bottom of the lake. So he tied that on, and we would hold on to the rope, and we had flashlights. But yeah, it was pretty dark and it was cold.
Oh, I bet.
And we got to, look around. But there's dozers and earth equipment down there. I guess when they built the lake, they just left all that equipment.
They just flooded it.
Flooded it, and there's a bridge down there too that. They just, instead of demolishing the bridge, they just left the bridge there, and the water just went over the bridge.
Huh. Did you ever see any big fish? I'd never realized how many big fish were in Missouri lakes until I worked for the Department of Conservation.
Yeah, we never did. I mean, we saw a lot of fish, but we didn't see those monster catfish.
Like the alligator gars, none of those.
I think the scariest fish encounter I had doing that, we had, you remember where Greenfield is? It's like you go past Mount Vernon and then you go up north.
Oh, it's up that way?
Yeah, and it's on the south end of Stockton Lake, by this little town of Pennsboro, which is really funny. I can't remember where we were at, and we here just a few days ago, and this lady was saying she was from Pennsboro, and I said, "Hey, I remember that because there's an old abandoned rock quarry there, and it's all fenced off." But I guess people can get permission to go in there and go swimming or go diving. And the water was just so clear because of, it's just a limestone quarry. And I mean, you could dive in there. And I remember this one fish. I know it wasn't a very big fish, by no means, but it came up and just smacked me in the face mask. And I mean, it just shocked me so much to have that happen. And I'm sure it was just an accident on his part, but that was probably the fish encounter that I'd had underwater.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about that. I'd probably shoot straight back out.
Well, I remember fish encounters like that, but we weren't diving. But me and Donnie we took a trip. You remember Woodstock?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't make Woodstock, but there was another concert down in the swamps in Louisiana. It was, what was it called? Celebration of Life Rock Festival. And we tried to go to that, and we drove down there, had an old 67 Plymouth sedan, and we went down there, and of course that's another story. But we had went to Florida, and we was driving along the Gulf Shores, Alabama, which back then there was nothing there in Gulf Shores, but the beach was just empty, and we was out there in the water, and like out there in the beach or in the ocean, you can go out there quite a ways, and the water, other than the waves, you're still just shoulder deep in the water, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of the water was just splashing all around us, and me and Donnie was probably 15, 20 feet apart from one another, and all of a sudden we both looked at each other and we both said, "Did you feel that?" And we just turned, and I think we were just our bodies just uplifted, and we were just running across the top of the water to get to the beach. You just think of sharks and everything else, but it's probably just a school of fish. But that
the fastest you've ever moved.
I think so. And
oh my gosh, yeah, I feel like I'm pretty adventurous, but the water does make me nervous. I don't know. I'd like to try scuba diving, but I think I would get
Well,
nervous with
you,
it.
you done snorkeling though,
I've
haven't
done
you?
snorkeling. Yeah.
I think that would be and I never did do much snorkeling.
I think I did it right though. I didn't like do the deep diving with the snorkel. I just floated and kept it out the top, but it was
No.
definitely weird.
I used to be able to hold my breath for about a minute and a half,
Oh,
but
wow.
I couldn't do that anymore.
I can't do that at all.
Well, I tell you, I think one of my most memorable adventures was when me and Coy flew out there, and you showed us around the Salt Lake area. That's a trip to remember.
It
I'll
was a
never
good
forget
time.
that. It was, and our trip that I met you in Green River
That
that
was really
time.
fun.
Yeah, I told Coy, I says, we need to do that again. But I said, we're driving this time. We're not flying. But I said, of course, that was the first time Coy had flown. But I said, there's just so much to see on the ground,
Yeah.
between here and there. And you just have to have
It's a
some
pretty
time.
drive. Yeah.
And I said, he was talking about him and Kendall coming out there. And I said, well, I'm sure that you and Emmy would put them up. But I said, there's places that you guys can drive in a day and a half.
But we're also really close to the Tetons and Yellowstone, and there's a lot to do out here. So I did have a lot of fun with you guys out here, though. It was a good trip. I was tired.
I bet.
We did a lot of things, but
Well, I'm glad you were kind of had that itinerary, everything every day to do something, because
will you tell Emmy that? Because he hates my itineraries.
oh, does he?
He
Well,
does.
make sure he watches this. Emmy, you listen to your wife
Yes.
and let her take care of the trips.
Exactly.
She's a travel expert.
That I am.
Well,
did you ever expect me to get so into the outdoors? Did you ever see that coming?
no, not really.
No.
I
I mean, I was
figured
a
if
cheerleader in high school. I don't know.
I figured if anybody would, Callie would have probably been the one to do it. But
Yeah.
but
I think it was just listening to your stories with Donnie and floating the rivers. I was like, oh, I want to do that. I decided we don't have rivers out here to float, so I had to find my own thing. So would you rather me tell you about my crazy adventures or not tell you? Do you like hearing about them, or
sure.
do you?
Yeah.
Does it scare you?
Well, I think that one trip that you went to Canada here last year in
That
the
was
snow,
tough.
that was I don't want you to repeat that
I was
unless I'm
actually
with
thinking
you.
maybe I'll go
Unless
back. Well, I don't think I would have made it with my sanity if you wouldn't have stayed on the phone with me for like 6 hours.
I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep anyway, knowing that you was driving in the snow.
I mean, there was nowhere on the radar that it said it was going to snow. And then apparently in Canada and Montana, they just don't plow the roads. So my car is amazing.
Yes,
And it did so well, but yeah, that was stressful. My body hurt after that because I was so stressed out.
And then your trip just before that, wasn't it? You went backpacking there in Wyoming.
Yeah, a couple months before that. Yeah. Where
And
you and Emmy?
You had me trying to look on the weather map to see what the weather was.
That was this summer.
Oh, this summer?
Yeah, that was this summer. I was
something camp or fort. It was something fort.
Oh, I think that was like the nearest town, but it really wasn't that close. Yeah, I was trying to go backpacking and a thunderstorm rolled in and I had to bail.
Yeah.
That was a bummer. But yeah.
Oh, I enjoy your trips, and I'm glad that you let me share them with you, even though they are stressful.
I'm also stressed if that makes you feel better. Well, I do appreciate you just staying on the phone with me. Even when I lived in my car and did that whole trip, you were always on the phone helping me figure out where to go.
Yep, the Rand McNally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because even like 10 years ago, GPS wasn't what it is now. And I lived by that road map.
People that we know around here and Callie, I'll tell her certain highways to take. And she said, I just follow the blue line. That's kind of what everybody does anymore.
Changed. Yep.
But I like to sit down with the map before I go anywhere, even though Google is a good way to get you where you're going. But I want to know a little bit, where it's taking me. I don't want to just put in an address and leave. you know, just
Like
like
I
when I
did to Canada.
well, just like when I was driving for oats, hauling the people around different places around here in the country. I mean, Google, I don't know what people would have done before that, because a lot of these roads still around here, there's no markers as far as what the road is, the name of it or something. And sometimes Google doesn't know either. But just amazing, trying to remember back. I mean, it won't be very long. There won't be nobody around that can remember what things were like without internet and without, Google and Google Maps.
And here you are remembering
Here
what
I
it was like
am.
without air conditioning.
Yeah, not air conditioning. Well, we grew up, and I don't remember so much about it, but the first house our folks had that they owned was in Florida, and it was an old chicken house, and they fixed it up, and it still had a dirt floor.
My gosh,
So we've come a long ways.
come a long way. Yeah. You still have your earth home, but no dirt floor.
No dirt floor.
Well, thanks for coming on and telling me all your stories. It's actually really fun to hear a lot of stories I'd never heard before.
Well, I'm sure we could do another hour and sometime,
We
and
could just do a whole series, a whole season dedicated to Dad and his brother's crazy adventures.
yeah.
The hillbilly hippies, we'll call it.
Yeah, I'm sure I can remember some more episodes of that. We've been to a lot of rock concerts, outdoor rock concerts, and before we go, I think I took you to your first rock concert, me and Donnie down there I think Bob Dylan, Hart, and there was another, I can't remember who the third one was.
What?
And I think he was like 4 or 5 years old. And I took you and me and Donnie took you with us down there outside of Branson. It's I can't remember, Lampy. It's down there at Lampy. Is the venue down there is an amphitheater. And yep.
Well, look at me go. I had no
Yep.
idea.
See, well, it's just like, I don't know if you remember, but it was either Haley's Comet or Bill Bob Comet. I think it's Haley's Comet. When you was little, I showed you the comet, and I said, you'll be alive. You'll probably be one of the few people that will be able to see it twice. So when Haley's Comet comes around again, make sure you see it, because that would be the second
This
time.
would be the second time.
that person's seen Haley's
Well, thanks
Comet.
for showing it to me the first time. You might have to remind me when it's coming back. All right. Well, thanks again, Dad. And hopefully we'll have more adventures in the next year or so.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I hope I don't disappoint your viewers.
Not at all. Love you.
Love you, honey.
Dad, thank you so much for joining me today and for being the reason I ever picked up a backpack, walked down a trail, or thought that sleeping on the ground for fun was actually a normal thing. This episode means a lot, not just because it's the season finale, but because it really does feel like a full circle moment. And to everyone listening, thank you, truly. Season 1 has been such an incredible adventure. I'm so grateful for your support, for tuning in every week, for sharing your stories, for sending messages, and for being part of this little outdoorsy community we're trying to build here. We're taking a short break, but season 2 will be back in early 2026 with more stories, more guests, and more moments that remind us why we love the outdoors so much. Until then, get outside, find your little pockets of nature, and remember to leave it better than you found it. Thanks for listening, and I'll see y'all in season 2. Bye.